for the first 450 minutes, how much do you pay according to this? $60, right? All right, so that part's not so bad. So we're going to write C of X equals, and I'm going to put a bracket here. Do the best you can with your bracket. I can draw brackets on this side, but for some reason I can't do it the other way. Turn out bad, I don't know why. It's 60. Now, let's describe, in the way we were looking at before, let's describe the minutes right over here. Can you with X tell me how you would write that for 450 minutes or less? How would you, as an inequality, I'm going to put a comma here because then that tells me this part I'm going to just describe when is it 60. When X is what? Less than or equal to 450. Good. Now, the part where I just want you to work with me on this, okay? Like I said, this is going to probably, you're going to think, I couldn't have come up with that on your own. Or maybe you could have. After 50 minutes, you still had to pay that 60. So we still have 60 plus. Okay? Because I paid that for 60. But then how much did it cost? 35 cents a minute. How do you think you write that? 0.3 times X. But do this for me. Anybody know why I can't just do X? Why I have to do X minus 450? Because let's try it with a number, okay? Let's say we went 500 minutes. The first 450 minutes cost 60. I have to pay that 35 cents for the minutes I go over 450. What's 500 minus 450? 50 minutes over. And so that's why that's in there. Part I don't think you would have been able to come up with on your own. When are we going to pay this amount? When X is what? When the minutes is over 350. Okay? Crap. I'm going to use my whiteout, which doesn't really work very well on yellow paper, but I actually used to have yellow whiteout.
What?
Well, back in the old days, they would make all kinds of different whiteout. Technically whiteout. Like they'd make it for green paper and yellow paper. I used to have green and yellow. That seems like a lot of time, Cassie. Just okay. Christmas present. Yellow whiteout. Well, it's not really. It's yellow out. I whited that out because that should be a 450. As soon as it dries, I'm going to write that in, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Now, let's try the next one. Once again, I think you're going to get the top piece no problem. The second piece is kind of thing that you're going to see later on in a math class, but we're going to talk about it now because we're doing piecewise functions. This is income tax. Income tax is 5% on your first $50,000 of income or less. And then percent and anything you make above 50. Okay, so at first and second hour I didn't read that correctly. Here's what that means. Let's say I made $80,000 in a year. The first $50,000 I multiply by 0.05 to find my income tax. Do you know why? Because 5%. Okay. Then I'd have to multiply 0.08 by how much I went over. If I made $80,000, how much did I go over 50,000? For 30, pay 8% for that 30,000. That's how this works. So here's how we're going to write it. The tax T of X equals, we're going to pay 0.05 times our income, which is X. when X is $50,000 or so how would I write that as an inequality? X is less than or equal to 50,000. Okay. Now, let's say you go over 50,000. Okay? What you have to do is you have to pay 5% for the 50,000. So let's do 0.05 times 50,000. Or you could calculate what it is. What is that, by the way? Could we figure out what this is? Can somebody figure out what it is for me? You can multiply by 5. 2,005. So you could write that's how much you're going to pay for the first 50. But I just need you to see where you're getting that from. Okay. Then now, what percent are you going to pay? 8%, but this is the amount over 50,000. I don't want to pay for that 50,000 anymore, so I write minus 50,000, and that's going to tell me how much over 50,000 I am. When am I going to pay that income tax rate? When X is what? Greater than 50,000. Okay. So once